I'm Paul Capps. We're filming a video today for the Capps Times channel. This is a guitar that I've worked on in my repair shop, mainly just doing a setup to it. It's an EVH Eddie Van Halen model Wolfgang. The original Wolfgangs were created by Music Man. And some of the differences between this is a Fender version that Fender's been doing the Eddie Van Halen model guitars for, I think they started in 2004, 2006. Peavy did them in the middle run, and Music Man was the first one to build a guitar like this. The original trim unit on the Wolfgang was a Floyd Rose made by Ping, I believe. And it dipped flat, otherwise you couldn't pull back on it to raise the pitch. You could only lower the pitch, which is what Eddie Van Halen at the time wanted. He didn't want to pull back on the strings. That was one of his special requests. And the other request, it was bodies were made out of basswood. All three companies, Music Man, Peavy, and Fender, have all built the bodies out of basswood. Peavy started putting some caps on them with Eddie Van Halen's approval. Some of them were maple and fancy caps, but they were just very, very narrow caps, and did a little bit of curve out on it to where it was pretty. I mean, as far as the raise, and you could see the work. But Van Halen wanted the bodies made out of basswood, and all three of the companies that have built these guitars has continued to build them in basswood. This guitar was brought to me for a setup, and the person that owns it wanted to lower the tuning down by a half step. So in order to do that, this trim unit has to be adjusted, because this is a floating trim to where it moves up and you can raise the pitch or down, or back and raise the pitch or down to do a dive, which was what the originals would do. They just simply would dive to lower the pitch. The truss rod adjustment is a screw. That was original Peavy design when Van Halen went to Peavy to build the guitars. The first pickup on the Music Man were DiMarzio pickups that Van Halen worked with to get to the design. When it transferred over and Peavy started building the guitars again, Van Halen and a couple of engineers at Peavy came up with a pickup that met Van Halen specs. And Fender studied the DiMarzios and Seymour Duncans and decided they'd rather build their own pickup. All three of the pickups sound extremely good. It's what makes this guitar different from other guitars. This is one of what I classify as 4 guitars as far as the history of a guitar that it's a very interesting history, and you can look at that on Wikipedia on the internet. Has a pretty good study of the various Wolfgang models over the years. And Reverb, which is a company that sells guitars that musicians put a lot of their stuff up on to sell. They have a real good history going from the very first one to the models that are currently being made. One of the other differences in the original only had a single volume control, and the pickup switches were down on the lower corner. The Fender model has a tone, which Van Halen approved, putting the tone control on it. Everything on this guitar was approved by Eddie Van Halen prior to his death. And this is a beautiful little guitar. It really comes alive more when you play it with the electronics on. And I'm going to turn the volume up on the guitar now, and I've got the tone about halfway. Now this guitar is tuned a half step lower, as I mentioned earlier. Both pickup sound. Both pickups on with the tone switch or the tone control in full bass. I normally charge about $125 to do a setup where you're balancing these Floyd Rose bridges out and making the neck adjustments and height adjustments on the guitar. But since I did the video with the customer's guitar, I'm only going to charge him $75 for it. And it's a beautiful guitar, I really like it. This is Paul Capps for the Capps Times channel. Y'all have a great week.